Hello there. I hope you're well and I hope you're safe. As a legally blind filmmaker, authentic representation is one of my core values. When it comes to marginalized communities such as those with disabilities, when I tell stories, it's very important for me to make sure that those are authentically and carefully told. Again, good storytelling is key when you're working with a narrative that is about an experience that isn't common, that isn't the majority. I recently had a great dialogue with my friend Lolo Spencer. Maybe as you know her, she's an actress, she's a model, she's even a YouTuber. She runs a channel called Sitting Pretty. And she even starred in my Tommy Hilfiger campaign that ran for the fall 2018 season all the way to the spring 2019 season. This conversation was actually recorded and available for you to fully listen to over at blindabroad.com. It's a part of my Blind Abroad podcast. And Lolo and I traveled the world together because of the authentic representation that we did in that Hilfiger campaign. It ended up going to the Cannes Lions Festival, and we got to talk about disability representation not only within marketing and media, but also in fashion and design. Now, not only did she star in the Tommy Hilfiger campaign, but she also went on to star in an independent film that was critically acclaimed. It got awards like a Spirit Award, and it went to Sundance Film Festival, the Cannes Lions Film Festival, and it's called Give Me Liberty. And it did an amazing job not only at writing disability representation, but at the same time had a disabled person playing that role. And let me just say, I watched that film at the premiere. It was incredible. Amazing job, Lolo. Though there was a lot packed into that hour conversation with Lolo, and you can listen to the entirety of it, especially those about traveling with a disability, both blindness and a physical disability, I want to share with you today a highlight from our talk about authentic representation, because Lolo had some incredible input. Now, if you don't understand the value of having authentic representation in your storytelling, well, please just give this a listen and keep an open mind. What does authentic representation mean to you, and in industries that practice it, like for instance film or even modeling and photography and stuff?
Yeah, so authentic representation to me means having the freedom to be your complete self, that there is no boundary, there's no limitation to what you can do, say, or show up as. Like, you can literally be your 100% self, whatever that looks like, whether some people may like it or not. Like, authentic representation is about showing people and showing up in the world the way you desire and the way that you feel like best represents you in the process.
Yeah, I like that. It's like, speaking from, you're usually working in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm oftentimes, I have my moments in front of the camera, when telling maybe my story a little bit, or
Yeah.
even helping to share someone else's story, but I'm typically working behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And for me, it's, as someone who maybe is making that decision to cast someone or to take a project like a film in a direction, for me it's about authentically having someone be behind the character
Mm-hmm.
that can really portray their life experience onto this
Mm-hmm.
character. There are certain circumstances, of course, where like you're making a movie about a war, right?
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to have a World War II veteran playing a
Right.
30-year-old currently in the war character on a
Right.
fictional World War II film. And people, trolls, may like go ahead and like try to make that comparison to like disability representation and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's more of an identity, not an occupation, not a I think it's a little bit more important to consider that if I want to use this person's story,
Mm-hmm.
right, in my character, if I want to use this life experience, especially one that when you really do your research, it's oftentimes job opportunities aren't given,
Yep.
even when there are talented folks uh, who have a disability, who are ready to work.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, like, you have to kind of think about too, is why aren't they given job opportunities often? Is it that they're not vocal enough? No, it's not. It's more so that you're not always looking, but also accommodations do need to be made. It's like,
Yep.
if you, and that's, I think it's a huge learning process too, for like the crew, because
Yes.
if it's their first time really practicing having accessible accommodations on set,
Yeah.
that may look different for how the workflow will go. But at the same time, it gives you a better representation of the character that you're trying to portray.
Exactly.
And edits are always made even the day of shooting.
Yes.
And actors are always like ready to have to rememorize or learn something new.
Yep.
So like the input, a little bit of the consulting too, can
Mm-hmm.
play with the writing. Yeah, no, I just, especially like when you really look at it, I feel like it's just the right thing to do. If I want to tell a story about someone
Yeah.
who's deaf, I'm not deaf.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I need to consult with to learn about. Not only
Exactly.
that, but yeah, like whether it's in the writing room or just consulting with me, or of course, and then going beyond where I want an authentic, deaf person
Yeah.
playing that role who's talented,
Absolutely.
and whichever the direction that the character's going in, if they have a deaf accent, if they're signing, like, again, that community knows themselves best.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that, when it comes to showcasing those stories, it's pivotal to cast authentically. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's exactly like you said. It's not like the talent isn't out there. The talent is there. It's just the opportunities are limited because people are either afraid to talk about disability, get it right or get it wrong. People are afraid to, I feel like, exactly what you were saying earlier, making the accommodations on set and figuring out like what this person may need or may not need, and is that going to affect the budget, because it always boils down to money. So like, is that going to affect the budget? Is it going to be this person has to travel with somebody else, so instead of flying out one person, we got to fly out two people, and all these different things. But I think if the goal of any project is to tell a story and tell it well, I personally feel like, the desire to want to get it right should overshadow whether or not we have the money, or whether or not I'm scared, or whether or not there's an ego somewhere from somebody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's all of those things where, because a lot of people don't know, they don't even feel like they don't know where to start. And then they're afraid to know where to start because they're afraid to ask the right questions.
If you want to listen to the rest of the podcast, you can go to blindabroad.com/podcast, or just search the Blind Abroad podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other platforms as well. Be sure to follow the links in the description to follow Blind Abroad on social media, as well as my own social media accounts, and we can have this ongoing discussion elsewhere as well, or in those comments down below. Check out Lolo's content, because she's always doing amazing things, amazing opportunities within the world of modeling, acting, and even just sharing the experience of being a Black disabled woman in Los Angeles. Her YouTube channel is Lolo Sitting Pretty, and again, I can't recommend her enough. I hope that you could see different today, and I'll hear you next time. Take care. Bye.